Hey YouTubers, Electric Adventures here with the next episode of my series Electric Adventures The Games, where I'm going through each of the games that I wrote back in the early 80s and released back in the day. There's over 80 of them in the series, so there's going to be quite a few videos. So we're moving on to Program Pack 5. So they're released grouped together in program packs, because most of these are written in BASIC, some with a little bit of machine code to jazz them up. But they're my really early games, so and a good illustration of what you can do in original Spectravideo and MSX BASIC. So next one is Program Pack 5, and we have Space Invaders, Sub Hunt and Chicken. Now, Space Invaders is going to be fairly self-explanatory, but this one is all written in BASIC, I believe, with no machine code helpers. So I've already got the command up and going here, so let's run it. It's got a title screen, and then straight into our main screen of our game proper, with a bit of animation enticing you to play the game. So this game is entirely written in BASIC, and obviously had to deal with the only 4 sprites in a row limitations that you had. But it looks quite nice. You just have a limited number of enemies on the screen. Got a ship down the bottom and a nice press trigger to begin. So let's press fire. A bit of sound. Ooh, missed. So obviously you don't have a tremendous amount of time before they're going to make to the bottom. And I do believe I did program in a mothership, so just letting it get a bit down to give a chance for a mothership to appear. Didn't really shoot him. Right, then you go again. Oh, there we go, there's a mothership. It does slow down a little bit when we've got the mothership up on screen. So we don't get any motherships, and then we get lots. Oh. Very hard to hit the mothership. You've got to be just in the right position. Now there won't be any, knowing my luck. Now, of course, as in all Space Invaders, the invaders start closer and closer to the bottom. Now, I'm determined to get one of those motherships. It's nice to have one of my games with a little bit more sound for once. Oh, seriously. Uh-oh, missed. Ah, game over. Well, there you go. Space Invaders. It actually doesn't play a bad game. This would be a slightly later game for me as well. Alright, let's go and have a look at the source code. Okay, here we go. We have our source code loaded up. And let's see how long the program is. This one has quite a few nice shapes as well, but it's only 47 lines long. So lines 390 to 450 are our sprite shapes, and 460 and 470 would be some placement data, I would say. Or is it music? It actually looks like some music, actually, because there's C's, notes, and we'll wait and see. Alright, let's have a look. So we have our normal startup, set up our random numbers, draw our title screen, draw our box around, line 40 load our sprites, and as soon as we've done that, set our high score marker, and then line 50 clear the screen and start drawing our nice playfield. A bit more of that. Line 60 puts the score and the high score up the top, and then line 70 places the Space Invaders in their initial position. Line 80 puts up our press trigger to begin. Line 90 we're waiting for a trigger press, and if so we set up some variables and we go to 100. Else we go through all 9 sprite shapes, and in one statement there, vpoke with a vpeak, we're flipping between the 2 patterns, and we go around in a loop there. So very efficient code in this particular circumstance. So line 100, we've started our game, go sub 280. We'll have a look at that in a minute. I reckon that might be place our Space Invaders on the screen. We set up some sound things, and we use on sprite go sub. So this is when 2 sprites overlap. We'll actually have an interrupt fire. And line 110, we read our joystick direction. We're only looking for left and right here. We use the V peak to get our current position. I'm just trying to check there. Yeah. Okay, vpeak and vpoke, so we're not actually even using an in-memory variable to store our x coordinate, we're just getting it straight from vpeak and poking it back. Line 130, we clear a sound register, turn the sprite interrupt checking on, and we add, this is animating our invaders just like we're doing in our demo loop. And it skips ones that are it doesn't move ones that are hidden, and then we've got a direction, whether so D is whether the invaders are moving left or right, and inside our loop we do that as appropriate. So a bit of maths there, but it does the job very quickly and very efficiently. As you can see, it's using vpoke and vpeak a lot, which is the fastest way to modify something in video memory. When you do a put sprite command, it's got to update the X, the Y, the pattern number and the color. So underlying, it's got to do send 4 bytes to video memory. So we're only sending 1 here, so it is saving a little bit of time. Obviously in machine code you can do things a lot quicker, but this is basic. So line 180, after the end of our loop, we turn the sprite collection detection off. Just trying to figure out what we're doing here. 209, and it's a very similar loop to before. I reckon I've got a separate one routine for moving left and one routine for moving right. There's very similar routines. Yeah, I think I'm right. Yeah, and yeah, line 210 reverses our direction. Line 220, that was that. Not sure about that. Maybe that's firing a bullet. Bullet equals 1, the bullet equals -1. Yeah, not sure about that. On line 230, we're detecting our trigger press and whether or not we've already fired a bullet. We put it on the screen, play a little sound, and as you can see, the sound is hard programmed there, so it's not using envelopes or waves. So we're actually, and that's why you get a pause when the sound is played. I probably could have potentially used a little bit of helper stuff there to play something with an envelope, and it wouldn't have slowed the game down as much. Line 240 is to do with the bullet, to make sure if it's not on screen that it's wiped out. Otherwise, we move it. Right, line 250, we have a random function here. This is putting our mothership up top. You can see it's made out of 2 sprites next to each other to make it bigger. Line 260, obviously if our mothership is on the screen, we want to move it across the screen. It's only got one direction. And if it gets past a certain thing, we make it invisible again and reset our pointer. And line 270 is the end of our main loop, and we go back. So 280, our first subroutine, basically displays our current score. Line 290 is our game over sequence. Line 300. Right, it's the end of the end of the game over sequence. Basically, rubs out the game over part with the background down the bottom and goes back to 60, so it restarts back to our title. Line 310 turns out this is probably our sprite detection routine. So sprite off, the first thing you do, clear our sound buffer, and then we do a bit of collision detection. Yep, going through and seeing whether our player bullet has hit one of the UFOs. Line 330, and then we see whether it's hit the mothership, if the mothership's going, and then we return. So that is our entire collision detection routine. So line 350, we're removing a sprite, so we'll obviously hit one of the invaders. We're increasing our score. Goes up 280 to print our score. Reset our bullet, make our bullet invisible, and decrease the number of aliens we have. If the number of aliens is larger than 0, we're still going to return. 360, obviously we've killed all the aliens, so we increase our level. The levels loop by the looks of it. Interesting, so if you get through 5 times it goes through, and then I think it actually speeds up. Line 370 goes and puts our aliens on the screen, and line 380 is a sound routine with probably our do 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 do, and 390 is the start of our sprite data. So not a very big program, and I think it does quite an impressive looking and actual playing simple version of Space Invaders. Also got to remember at the time, ones I had in comparison obviously was the arcade game, but it would have been Intellivision's Space Invader game. Sorry, I'm struggling to remember what it was called. It was called Space Invaders. That had quite large sprites as well, so I suppose I was modelling off that. If you could do that, I could do that. Obviously Atari's 2600 one had a lot more sprites on the screen, but this is what I could do in BASIC at the time. In machine code, you could use pre-generated character animations to make it much smoother, and somebody has actually done that on the MSX and done a very good job of it. But not a bad little Space Invaders game, and a good one to start off Program Pack 5. So I hope everybody's enjoying this series on my original games, and there'll be another one along soon. I'm Electric Adventures, thanks to all my subscribers, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Bye.